chess friends, today I would like to introduce you some chess principles I found in the internet, mainly on chessimo.com. I divided those chess principles into various sections. The opening principles, the center of the board, king safety, pawn structure, space, endgame principles, trading of pieces, weaknesses, and strategy. Let's start with the opening principles. Rapidly develop all of your pieces. Develop knights before bishops. Don't move the same piece twice during the opening. Don't make unnecessary pawn moves during the opening. Don't check if not necessary. Don't open a position if you are late in development. Place the queen behind the line of friendly pawns during the opening. Castle as quickly as possible. Kingside castling is safer than queenside castling. Now the center of the board. Place your pawns in the center. Keep your pieces as close as possible to the center. When trading pawns, try to get yours as close as possible to the center. Control the center before attacking. King safety, very important. Avoid advancing pawns that protect your king. Never ever allow your king to stay in danger of a check, not ever, or surely you will suffer the consequences. Don't weaken your king's defenses early in the game. Pawn structure. As pawns advance, they get more difficult to protect. Pawns are the foundation of strategy or the soul of chess. Whenever possible, create a passed pawn. A pawn majority distant from the enemy king is an advantage. Moving out rook pawns in the opening loses time in development. Never underestimate the value of a passed pawn. Space. Restrict the movement of enemy pieces. Dominate as much territory as possible. Advance pawns in order to conquer space. Endgame principles. Centralize your king as quick as is possible in endgames. The king must be active in the endgame. Drag your opponent into Zugzwang. Many wins are based on winning the opposition. Endgames with bishops of opposite colors usually result in a draw. Flank pawns are very strong against knights. Keep your rooks active in endgames. Always place a rook behind a passed pawn. Create a passed pawn if you have a majority of pawns. Centralize the queen in endgames. Trading. Avoid trading a developed piece for a not developed one. Avoid unnecessary trades. The value of a piece varies according to its position. A bishop is worth more than a knight in open positions. A knight is worth more than a bishop in closed positions. Two bishops are usually stronger than bishop and knight, and then two knights. Don't recapture pieces automatically. If you've got little space to trade off one or two pieces. Trade off the opponent's fianchetto bishop. Avoid trading while attacking. Plan hypothetical trades. Simplify whenever you have a material advantage. When a player has an extra pawn, it's recommended to trade pieces instead of pawns. Weaknesses. Pawn weakness is eternal. Avoid doubled pawns. Avoid isolated pawns. Avoid backward pawns. Avoid creating holes or weak squares. Avoid pawn islands. Think carefully before advancing hanging pawns. Create new weaknesses in the enemy's field. Concentrate your forces on your opponent's weak points. Not every weakness is bad. Strategy. Try to prevent your opponent from castling. Put pressure on your opponent's backward pawn. Force your opponent to advance hanging pawns. Always blockade your opponent's passed pawns. The knight is the best piece to block a passed pawn. The minority attack. Whenever possible, place your rooks on the 7th or 8th rank. Doubled rooks on the 7th rank. Not always a pawn should be promoted into a queen. Keep your knights close to the center. Rooks should rapidly occupy open or held open files. Keep your bishops active. Keep your pawns on squares of the same color of your opponent's bishop. Knights need outposts. Keep your pawns on squares that are different from ones of your bishop. Bishops should be placed in front of a pawn chain. If your opponent owns two bishops, try to trade one of them off. Keep your eyes on the squares controlled by your opponent's bishop. A bishop can dominate a knight. Think about defense first. Assess the changes resulting from your opponent's move. Keep the back rank protected. Don't let your pieces get overloaded. Avoid placing heavy pieces in the range of lower pieces. Eliminate the negative and accent the positive by eliminating your opponent's best piece. Keep your most valuable pieces well protected. Keep your pieces on a square of a different color than the enemy bishop is on. Get rid of all pin pieces. Never make the job easy for your opponent. If your opponent attacks on one side, counterattack in the center. Try to anticipate your opponent's threats. Improve your piece's position. Always try to create some kind of threat for your opponent. Accumulate advantages before attacking. Concentrate as much as possible your forces when you attack. Try to open ranks, files and diagonals. Eliminate key pieces of your opponent's defense. Quickly move your attack from one side to the other. After an attack, reorganize your pieces. Always expect your opponent to find and make the best move. Every rule was made to be broken. A good way to find winning moves is to use the principles of backsolving. Thanks to Chessimo.com and EasyNet.com for having collected these chess principles. If you like this video, I'm happy if you give me a like. Thank you and goodbye.